We back. Now today's gonna be a quick video. Gonna be responding to another content creator in the space, Chaotic Truth. Yeah. Now, Chaotic Truth put out a video earlier today, and I seen the thumbnail on the video. It said this: ancestor worship is complete BS. So I clicked the video. Let me hear what Chaotic talking about. So I'm in a live, right? I'm in the background. I'm up in the clouds. I'm listening. And Chaotic, doing his, usual spiel, basically, destroying the ancestors. And you got to keep in mind, Chaotic Truth, he is a, black conservative, Trump supporter, content creator. So his audience, usually those type of guys, the Anthony Brian Logans, the Brandon Tatums, they have a more diverse audience. They have more white folks in their audience. So, their audience love when you be destroying and disrespecting your ancestors. But as I'm sitting back and I'm listening, somebody actually came up on a live chat. I don't know his name. It was like, some conservative far right type of guy. And he actually came up on a live chat and was like, nah, bro, I disagree. We got love for the ancestors over here. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. So let's get into it. Run the clip. I'll be right back. Let's go.
And then I told her, mother F the ancestors. The ancestors didn't help you. Well, I meant that they didn't help black people defeat the white man. How about that? How you like them apples? That's what I told her. I said, yeah, mother F the ancestors. What did the ancestors do? The ancestors ain't built no company for you to work at. You working at the white man's company because their ancestors built the damn company that you working at. So I'm kind of giving away too much information now. So I said, man, mother F the ancestors. I don't get down with that. And I told her about herself. I said, listen, you guys can pretend that there's some force ghost in the sky looking down on y'all. But if anything, you would think that the ancestors will be looking down on the white man, trying to haunt the white man. That's what I would do if I was an ancestor. I'll be up in the white man's home. Whoa. You see, Mitch McConnell, he's being haunted by some black force ghost. So I don't believe in that ancestor bullshit. I just don't.
Yo, that's crazy, man. The ancestors can't get no rest, man. Imagine you a black man that was living back in the 19th century, the 20th century, the 17th century, the 16th century. And then, goddamn, even when you resting, they still throwing dirt on your name. Goddamn. You had to go through adversity while you was living, and now you had to still go through adversity in the afterlife. This is crazy. But anyway, now I just want to start out by saying, yes, myself, Neferkari Dessalines, yes, I do believe in paying homage, showing honor, respect, appreciation, veneration, whatever you want to call it, to the ancestors, our forefathers and our foremothers. Yes, I am about that life. Yes, I am in that lifestyle. Even my YouTube channel itself is my way of paying homage and showing respect and paying tribute to the ancestors, right? When I read letters that the ancestors wrote 200 years ago, when we discover and break down, never before seen documents from centuries ago, right? That is my way of paying homage, showing respect and appreciation for the ancestors. So I have nothing against that. Yes, I'm about that. Not only do I pay tribute to the ancestors, but I study them as well, right? Study what they wrote, study what they believe, study their ideology, right? Use that as a blueprint in my own life. Look at how they thought, look at how they moved through the world, how they stood on business, right? Try to model myself in a way that would make them proud. Now, the term ancestor worship is kind of controversial because, once you get into, the Abrahamic religions, that term is seen as inflammatory, but you could substitute it with something else like just simply, showing respect, paying homage, paying tribute. Now, in the video, Chaotic, he went off on a tangent. He started talking about, the white man, this, that, and the third. Listen, the white man don't got nothing to do with what we got going on with the ancestors, right? That's the white man. We've been with the ancestors long before we even met the white man, right? So trying to inject that into the conversation, that don't got nothing to do with the conversation or the topic. When you study the history of the black man and really the history of all men around the world, you notice this universal theme in all cultures, right? This respect or this reverence or veneration for, what they call the ancestors, those who came before you, those who laid the groundwork and the foundation before you came here, right? Those who laid down the ideology and the culture and the customs before you got here, those who gave you your identity because those are the footsteps you are following. So all of these cultures around the world, they all have some type of element of, ancestral, veneration, right? So it's not exclusive to black men and nothing like that. So, black men have been doing this, for thousands and thousands of years, right? You see this in cultures that span in everywhere the black man was inhabiting. And I would even go further to say that that's also a unifying factor amongst all, African spiritual customs, that respect for the ancestors, right? Paying homage to the ancestors. You're going to find that in so many African cultures, so many black cultures. So that's something we do. That's something we've been doing for thousands of years. So like I said, man, Chaotic was just tap dancing on YouTube for them white conservative dollars. And speaking of white conservative dollars, what do you think that we do in America? I remember I was like 7 years old. They're already teaching me about George Washington. Why the hell are they teaching me about this white supremacist, right? But they're engaging in ancestor veneration, ancestor worship. You're a young child. They teach you about Thomas Jefferson. Why am I learning about a pedophile? That's because here in this culture, Thomas Jefferson is deemed as an honorable ancestor, a venerated ancestor. So as soon as you are a child, 6, 7 years old, they're already teaching you about the Thomas Jefferson, right? They're getting the ideological training started at a very early age. And not only that, but they build statues for these men. They have holidays for these men. They name schools and universities after these men, whole streets and blocks and boulevards after these men. They got their face on the money, right? Man, you get your $100 bill. You see the white man staring at you. You see the ancestors staring at you. You see Mount Rushmore, right? They went to Mount Rushmore. They put their face in the mountains. All of that is elaborate ancestor worship. Ancestor worship to the highest level. Only difference is you have no problem with that because, when the white man do it, it's just seen as normal. That's the default setting. When the black man do it, everybody start talking about he a demon, he demonic, oh, this, that, and the third. Then Chaotic started talking about building corporations. I mean, listen, Chaotic, Chaotic is a black man nurtured in the cradle of Western civilization. And as you can see, he has taken on heavily to the ideological training. Now, Chaotic, in the video, he said, oh, the ancestor didn't build corporations for you, this, that, and the third. Now, listen, I work in the family business, but listen, even if I had no means of employment, that would not change my level of respect and veneration for the ancestors, bro. That's totally different from what you're talking about. You're talking about corporations. That's a Western creation. What we got with the ancestors, that's been a cultural practice for hundreds of thousands of years, bro. That's totally separate from whatever BS you talking about. And when you actually study the black men that came before you and the black women as well, and you realize how many sacrificed their lives for you to be here right now, right? For example, back in 1802, Napoleon Bonaparte, the King of France, the Emperor of France, made a declaration in front of the entire world to exterminate every single person on the island of Saint-Domingue, right? So if Napoleon's plan was successful, he was supposed to exterminate my entire bloodline, my entire lineage. Like, I'm not even supposed to be here, right? But thank all heavens to the ancestors for repelling the invaders. I'm still here. Listen, if it wasn't for the ancestors, I wouldn't even be on the microphone. So yes, I'm always gonna show love. But anyways, man, I'm gonna get into this clip. So Chaotic, he opens the floor for the audience to come into the live chat. So a member of the audience came into the live chat and was like, listen, bro, nah, I actually disagree. No, we love the ancestors, right? Some white dude, right? Some white dude was like, nah, bro, I disagree. I love my ancestors. So anyway, run the clip. I'll be right back.
I don't know why you hate on ancestor worship. That's like the majority of how humanity has functioned for thousands of years. And it's also a very prosperous way to go about things as well, because you look up to your previous ancestors, therefore you keep your traditions alive, and therefore you even try to become better than your said ancestor. I mean, ancestor worship is even as simple as looking up to your father and trying to be better than your father. That is an ancestor worship trait. So I don't see the problem with ancestor worship whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the few times where Neferkari Dessalina and the white man, we on the same page, right? This is a very rare moment. Now, to me, it's common sense, right? To me, it's common sense. And if you're a so-called conservative like Chaotic Truth, then you should already know that they also engage in ancestor worship. Why they always, calling back, to the founding fathers and this, that, and the third. Oh, our founding fathers, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, the Washington Monument. Even in their narratives of history, they write the history in a way that pays tribute to their forefathers, right? Even if they got to lie, even if they got to fabricate a complete lie, that's what they're going to do. Why? To venerate the ancestors. And the same way how even on my channel, I read letters and documents from like centuries ago about our forefathers. Why? Not only to show respect and pay tribute, but like I said before, to study what these men left behind. Study their mindset, study the decisions they made when they were in leadership, right? The same way that we do that on my channel, that's the same way the Europeans do it for their forefathers, right? They break down, Washington's old letters, Napoleon's letters, Thomas Jefferson's letters, right? They study the old documents. They keep them in the archives for safekeeping, right? Because these are important things. And they use that as a guiding light to establish their civilizations and their societies. Now, due to the fact that, as a collective, black folks don't give a damn about their ancestors or want to study them or learn about them or pay tribute to them in any, real way. So, we don't really have that blueprint because we don't want to go study ours, right? We have ours, if we go, digging, that's what I do on my channel. I go, uncover what the ancestors left behind, but we don't really do that as a collective. Now, when you examine our cultures, you notice that ancestral veneration has always been a part of our collective cultures going back thousands and thousands of years. For as long as history has been recorded, in any civilization where the black man had dominion, I guarantee you some ancestor veneration was taking place. Now, of course, things change recently, right, with the introduction of, certain religions, but that doesn't change the facts. The black man has been paying tribute. The black man has been showing respect to his ancestors for as long as he's been walking around. And not only black men, but all groups of men engage in similar behavior, but black men especially, that's a core element of all of our cultures. If you study any civilization where the black man had dominion, I guarantee a key element of that indigenous culture was some ancestor veneration going down. Even in the United States, right? Don't they got a whole holiday dedicated to the fallen soldiers? I forget what the holiday is called, right? But on that day, everybody got the day off, everything is closed, right? Because we are, showing respect to those who died in sacrifice, for us here, in the United States on this landmass. So that's ancestor worship. Those who, passed on and lay down their lives. Like I said, you see the white man, he gonna establish his monuments, his statues, his holidays for his ancestors. But then you're gonna tell the black man, oh man, forget your ancestors, man. Who cares about your stupid Nah, stop that. You ain't gonna play me like that. Hell nah. Like I said, man, it's certain things I do not play with. And when it comes to the ancestors, our forefathers, our foremothers, I don't play with that. I'll be ready to fight. When you say the wrong thing about the ancestors, I'll be ready to fight. I'm not even lying to you. I swear to God, I'll be ready to get it popping for the ancestors sometimes, right? You got to watch what you're saying. And disclaimer, I'm not threatening chaotic truth. I'm just, speaking in general, but that's genuinely how I feel, right? When it comes to the ancestors, that's where you get your identity. That's where you get your names, your lineage, your stories, your history. That's your cultural and spiritual heritage, bro. That's another form of inheritance. When you study the men and women that came before you, it gives you a standard to follow, right? When you don't know where you came from, you don't know what, nothing about yourself, you have no standard, you have no bar that is set. But once you study the men that came before you, the women that came before you, those who came before you, a bar is set, a standard is set to where now you know where if you are living below that standard, if your actions are not in line with meeting up to that standard, if your behavior is not in line to meeting up to that standard, right? Now, in the modern day, people typically substitute these things with like celebrities and things like that. My favorite celebrity. But, in real life, you're really supposed to be, studying your forefathers for real. But, in the modern day, it's all twisted. But those are your real life models, right? Those are your real life models, right? I try to live my life in a way, if Christoph looking down on me right now, would he approve what I'm doing? Would he approve of what I'm saying? If Dessalines looking down on me right now, would he approve of what I'm doing? Would he approve of how I'm moving, right? It gives you a bar that is set. A guideline is set. Now, unfortunately, due to a variety of factors, due to the fact that we don't, study those who came before us to the level that we should, you got a bunch of us walking around living our lives in a way that is not in line or would not make those who came before us happy, right? If they're looking down on us right now, they'd be disappointed with a lot of us, right? So, unfortunately, there are a lot of us who are not really in tune as they should be. But that's really all it is, man. It's not really that serious. It's not about corporations. It's not about the white man, bro. It's about our own personal, cultural, spiritual practices, man. So, chaotic, you bugging out. You was tap dancing for the white man. Then the white man came on the show and told you, actually, I disagree. I love my ancestors, bro. The white man, you was sitting there looking stupid. You was sitting there on the camera looking stupid, bro. But like I said, man, don't play with the ancestors. Don't play with the ancestors. The black men that came before us, we got big love for those men. The black women that came before us, we got big love for those women. And we're going to pay tribute to those men and women every chance we get. Now, anyways, man, it's a Never Card. That's Celine. Back in the building. Yes, indeed. Album out now. Sahel 1816. Cash App in the description. Support the channel. And I'm gone. Peace.
Gotta go get it, I'm never waiting. Stay in the trends and I'm innovative. Shorty, she on me, she said she love me. Straight to the top and I'm elevated. Straight to the top and I'm never stopping. Running my business, I'm enterprising. Working that money, I get it fast. Stay in my lane and I hit the gas. Counting my blessings and make it last. Don't want a fraction, I want it all. Stick to the code and the protocol. Feel like a king and I'll never fall. Fuck up a check when I'm in the mall. Riding that German, I'm in a Benz. Plotting revenge, I don't make amends. Hitting that corner and make a bend. Up in the sky like commercial pilots. Keep it 100, I'm moving silence. Know we united, they can't divide us. Say that she love when I give her guidance. Told me she love me, I know it's real. Know they gon' hate, but I know the deal. Know they gon' hate when you so official. Paying my dues like I'm sacrificial. Handle my business so beneficial. Ride on my enemies with the miss. Ride on my enemies with a chop. Coming for blood, make them call the doctor. Coming for blood, I ain't showing mercy. Probably gon' kill me or try to hurt me. Probably gon' kill me, I keep it tinted. Bulletproof vehicle when I whip it. Came from the bottom, I really live it. Really, my life is a motion picture. Lately, I feel like the trending topic. Keep it authentic, I keep it honest. Up at the bank with a new deposit. Call me the boss and I pay the cost. Feel like a rocket, I'm taking off. Come to the crib and she take it off. Gotta go get it, I'm never waiting. Stay in the trends and I'm innovative. Shorty, she on me, she said she love me. Straight to the top and I'm elevated. Straight to the top and I'm never stopping. Running my business, I'm enterprising. Working that money, I get it fast. Stay in my lane and I hit the gas. Counting my blessings and make it last. Don't want a fraction, I want it all. Stick to the code and the protocol. Feel like a king and I'll never fall. Fuck up a check when I'm in the mall. Riding that German, I'm in a Benz. Tired of revenge, I don't make amends. Hitting that corner and make it big. Go. Never wait. Innovative. Say she love me. Elevated. Never stop it.